Welcome to the Wired for Success podcast, your show for ambitious, mission-driven entrepreneurs who want to build million-dollar businesses without sacrificing their health, relationships, or happiness, who understand that in order to build their empire, they need a solid foundation, and that the more they are thriving, the more their business is thriving too. This show brings you the very best from science, self-development, and entrepreneurship to set you up for sustainable success. Hi, I'm Claudia Garbett, the scientist turned mindset and high performance coach for entrepreneurs, and I help you get wired for success. Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Wired for Success podcast, where we talk about all things science, self-development, and entrepreneurship that help you get to that next level of success in your life and business. Today, I'm excited to bring you a brand new interview episode. My guest today is author, speaker, investor, marketing nerd, and the kingmaker, Paul Getter. Paul is an internet marketing legend who currently manages several $1 million in advertising for clients per month. And yes, guys, I said per month, and has helped scale multiple businesses into 8 figures per year. And some of Paul's clients have included celebrities and online personalities such as Neil Patel and Bob Proctor. His clients hire him to build, optimize, manage, and run traffic to some of the best performing funnels in the online marketing world. And today, I hope that he will share a few of his tips and strategies with us. So welcome, Paul, and thank you so much for being on my show today.
Thank you very much. It's my privilege. You're reading that introduction. I'm like, is she talking about me? I mean, that was. Thank you very much for that introduction. It's a pleasure to be
here. Absolutely. Paul, I read that you actually have no formal education in marketing and that your internet marketing career began in desperation. So I'd love for you to paint a picture for us. What kind of situation you were in before you discovered the power of social media?
Yeah, sure. So again, first of all, thank you very much for having me here. It's an honor to be here. And thank you for letting me to share my story with your audience. You're doing amazing things. Yeah, so it was probably around 2008. I was one of those individuals that had a lot of different jobs, everything from working at fast food restaurants, the mall, delivering phone books, and just doing whatever I could to make ends meet. But my background, I was very intrigued with internet stuff, online. And if you go back 2008, there was, these social media platforms were in their infancy. So I started playing around with them as a hobby and, helping businesses get online and get their social media presence on there. And I think it started out. One of my friends was going to college and they said, Paul, you have to get on Facebook. And I jumped on Facebook, and I have to say, my first impression was like, this is for kids. I don't have time to play around on this. Back in those days, it was like Farmville and, just silly games. But I saw businesses were putting Facebook pages out there for their business. And I put a page out for our church. And I remember a couple weeks later, I went to church and I saw this family there. And I went up to them like, how'd you hear about us? And they said, oh, we saw you on Facebook. And it was like light bulbs went off. It's like, oh, these are like real people. There are real people here. And so I realized that there was an opportunity for businesses to utilize social media in a way that they could gain customers and clients. And, in saying that now, it's like people would say, duh, yeah, of course they can do that. But this was back years ago when people weren't really doing it. And there was a lot of hesitation. I don't want to waste time and everything. So the term social media marketing and agencies and stuff, it didn't even exist at that time. So I started initially reaching out to businesses as mom and pop restaurants and stuff and saying, hey, you need to be online and, you can get more customers if you get online. And I guess you would say it kind of snowballed from there.
I love that story. And I remember that for me, I was always the person who didn't want to be on social media. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to have a Facebook account. I was like, why would anyone want to do that? Don't
Yeah.
they have
Yeah.
lives? Don't they have
Yeah.
real
Yes.
stuff going on?
And that's how it was for me. It was like, I thought, okay, this is going to be a hole that I'm sucked into, and I'm going to be wasting time. And but it did initially just kind of begin as a hobby, and then I saw opportunity to connect with local businesses and say, hey, $50 a month, I'll help you manage your social media. And I'll tell you what I did is I would go to just say a restaurant, and they would have on their menus or on their door, something like that, the name, and then it'd have the little social media icons. And then I would go to it and I would look at their Facebook page and I would see, okay, they haven't posted anything in 6 months. They're not active on it. They just made a page, put a couple posts up, and then forgot about it. I saw that as an opportunity because number one, they realized it was important to be on social media. They realized it enough to put little stickers on their door or their menu, follow us on Facebook, and hope somebody did it. But they didn't have the time or the experience or whatever it might be to manage it. So I said, hey, I'll manage it for you. Just pay me $50 a month. And it became a pretty easy side hustle from there.
That's a great strategy. Maybe we can dig a little deeper into your journey. So, can you maybe describe your journey from someone who had just discovered the power of social media to becoming someone who has now spent over 1 billion, and again, guys, that's billion with a B, dollars running ads and campaigns for your clients, and who has over 1 million followers on Instagram? So, how have you been able to pull this off?
I don't know. I don't no. So, it is a journey. We were talking about this before the episode started about a lot of times people see, oh, okay, here's the success. Here's the success. But there was a whole lot of failures, mistakes, and doing the wrong things before I started achieving some type of success. But so I remember there was this when Facebook first started doing ads, and it now again, I'm saying things and it's kind of like people are like, yeah, Facebook can always have ads. It used to be a platform without ads. And when it started, I started playing around with it, and Facebook reached out to me and said, hey, we need some people to help test our ad platform. I'm like, yeah. And so they would give me a budget that I could play around with, like fun money that they would give me credits to run ads. And they're like, tell us what your feedback is. And so I started playing around with ads. And when Facebook launched their ad platform to the public, they started doing things like when you would start a Facebook page, there would be a little button that would say, do you want to grow your audience? Click this button. And you click that button and it would auto-populate an ad for you, and it would start running, and you would go onto your Facebook and you're like, oh, I grew 20 followers today, and it was because of those ads. Well, the challenge with these auto-generated ads that Facebook made available to people is they were horrible. They weren't done right. It was just like it would grab your profile picture and put it into the ad, and it would have text that didn't make sense, but people didn't know that. So what I would do is I would scroll through Facebook and I would see those people that had pushed that auto-populate to grow their Facebook page. And I would send them a message and I would say, hey, I see you're running ads to grow your Facebook page. How's that going? And they didn't know if it was good or bad. They're just like, oh, I'm getting 20 followers a day, 50 followers a day. And then I would say, if you don't mind me asking, how much are you spending? On the average, people were paying anywhere from 75 cents to $1 a follower. If you knew how to run Facebook ads in that day, you could get followers on your Facebook page for a penny. So,
Oh, wow.
so I would say to them, let me manage your ads for free 2 days, and you don't have to pay me anything. We'll just see how it goes. And they said, okay, deal. Well, if they gave me $5, I could take the other $15 if they were spending $20 a day, and that was my profit. And I was getting them hundreds of followers. So that's how it started into like a business. Like, okay, I'm making money. And I remember one day someone called me up, and they were doing some type of conference, and I started helping them grow followers and run ads for a conference. And I went to their page, and I noticed that they had a lot of celebrities that were attending this conference and were going to it. And I was like, oh, this guy's pretty important. I started really giving him everything I could, and just like going over and beyond. And I remember he sent me a message. He's like, hey, Paul, I know a lot of people in Hollywood that are wanting to grow their social media. Would you be interested? I'm like, yeah, I'd be interested. And from there, a month later, I'm sitting down at a table with Kevin Hart, having dinner with Kevin Hart, going out with celebrities and stuff. And it was just, the power of relationships, understanding that when you give and serve it was more than just business for me. It was an opportunity for me to connect with people, build relationships, and next thing I know, I'm doing big things.
That's amazing. So there's a lot of strategy. So you figure out what people struggled with.
Right. Finding their pains. Yeah.
Finding their pains, or finding the gaps, bridging the gaps, but also maybe a little bit of luck, just connecting with the right people.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that, in success in your journey, number one, when I first started doing this, there was this shy, reserved. I wanted to stay behind the scene. I was working with big names. I was working with celebrities. I was working with a lot of these big internet entrepreneurs. And I wanted to kind of like stay behind the scene because I think a couple of reasons. I didn't really want people to figure out what I was doing. This is like my little, because years ago, now it's kind of funny. It's like everybody's an internet marketer. Everybody's a social media marketer. And, but back then I remember I was building these big social media pages and following that I was just doing organically. I could take a page from 0 to 1 million in like 3 or 4 months, growing it, just content and stuff. The organic reach was completely different back then. And so I would have big companies message me. I would have movies message me. Hey, will you promote our content? Will you help us grow? And so I remember this guy launched a course and he said, we're going to teach you how to manage ads. And I remember when I saw this, I was like, there's other people that know how to do this. It was like so shocking to me. But I think I made the mistake initially of just trying to stay to myself, try to stay behind the scenes. And I missed a lot of opportunity to connect with people because I just wanted to stay behind the scenes and didn't want anybody knowing what I was doing.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I'm an introvert myself, so sometimes it feels just more comfortable to stay in your lane and stay behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But how has this journey changed you as a person? So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the challenges that you had to overcome and what tools, techniques, and strategies you found most helpful for dealing with those challenges.
Yeah, so I think a couple different things that are early on. There was this, I was doing a lot of work. And what I mean by that is I was figuring things out quickly. And I look at my journey in, it went from making a couple $100 a month, $500 a month. And then clients started coming in. And although it felt very fast, it was probably over a couple of years that it grew. But now I got 20 clients, 30 clients. And I was still treating it in my mind like this is my little side hustle. But I got 20 clients. It's like, okay, I need help. So I found myself 15, 20 hours a day, I had clients around the world. I remember one of my first big clients was in Nigeria. And so I would have to get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to do meetings with him. And then I'd go back to sleep. And so I found myself doing 15, 20 hours a day, go to sleep and then wake back up and do this. And because I was still trying to treat this as this my little side hustle. And I realized quickly, I cannot sustain this. I don't want to sustain this. And hiring your first employee is always like this, oh, do I want to do this? Because in your mind, you're like, okay, I'm making X amount of dollars. Now I need to take a piece of that and give that to them. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like
I know what you mean.
You've convinced yourself, I'm going to make less money now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to I'm going to have to make some sacrifice. But I remember doing that. And and this is a principle that has really stuck with me, is I kind of made a spreadsheet of all the things that I'm doing that anybody could do. Because I think that there are things that only I can do, or, you know, it's best that only I do, that at that stage of the game, me connecting with the clients, building relationships, on calls with them, that was more important than I was doing things like making content, posting content. I was doing things like that instead of hiring someone to design the content and post the content. Now it's cool. They've got softwares that you can design the content and then schedule it out. But back then we didn't have all of the luxury of these softwares. If I had 20 clients, I had to make their content, and then I had to manually post everybody's content at it. So imagine all the time that I was spending. So I made a spreadsheet of all of the things that I could teach someone to do, that would be easy for them to do, that they could do, and the things that were best that I focused my attention on. And so what happened is, there was as far as the income that I was bringing in personally, it dropped because I had to hire someone. But what I saw is 4 or 5 months later, I was able to manage more clients. I was being more efficient, and I was maintaining my sanity. I was sleeping. I was enjoying doing what I was doing a lot more. So, and that's something that I do on a periodical basis, is I will look, are there things that I'm doing that I could teach someone to do and they could do it and give me more free time in doing the things that are best that only I do.
Yes, delegating and outsourcing and automating is definitely something that's really, really important. But sometimes what I see is that even though there are some tasks that you might be able to outsource or delegate, it's something that you really enjoy. And when people give that away, that might not be a great strategy. So you have to be really strategic about that. And sometimes, even if it could be done by someone else, but it gives you a lot of joy to do it yourself, maybe you want to keep it on your plate.
That's good. That's very good advice, because there are things that I find myself, someone could do it, but I enjoy doing it. And it kind of gives you that excitement. You want to you want to hold on to that.
Yeah. Now I have a fun question for you. If you could have a giant billboard anywhere, what message would you want to put on it? Whom would you want to see it? And why is it so important that those people see and understand your message?
Oh, wow. That's so I posted a question like this to my audience a couple years ago. And this was the question, which I think it's very similar to your question. My question was, if you could telepathically send a message to everybody in the world, and everybody hear that in almost like a very audible voice, what would that message be? And it was funny because I got thousands of answers, and some of the answers were like, buy Bitcoin, and things like that. Some of it was like, follow me on Instagram, and they're handling. So everybody had a lot of different answers, but there was a a common answer that I saw, and I think it resonated with me, and it's something that would maybe be life changing for some people. And the answer that people kind of collectively said was, "You are loved. You are loved." And I thought about that, and I think that there's probably a lot of people that there's an emptiness, there's an incomplete because they don't feel loved, they don't feel valued. And I believe in this world that everybody holds a value and importance, um, a purpose in our life. And regardless of where you are in life, you might feel unloved. You might feel like you have no value, but you are loved. You are important. There are people that depend on you. Life is fragile, and understand that you are loved.
Oh, that is such a great message to share. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So important for people to hear over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the most important and maybe surprising and counterintuitive lessons that you have learned about social media marketing so far?
So, you know, when it comes to marketing and online, there's a buzzword that people use a lot, and it's disruptive. You need to be disruptive.
Yeah.
And that is very important, that you are disruptive, because people are scrolling, people are going from one platform to another. And so you have to do something that grabs their attention, that catches them, that pulls them in. Now, here's the challenge is disruption always has different cycles. And what I mean by that is I remember when, again, I was one of the first individuals running ads on Facebook and these major platforms. So I remember we would test things. We're like, hey, this is doing really well. And we would run ads. Like there was a day that we would make an ad and we would put red borders around it, and it would catch people's attention. And well, once we started doing that, it was doing really well. But then all the other marketers, they would start seeing that and they would do it too. They'd put red borders. Well, now every ad that you scroll through has a red border around it. It's using the same. Now it's no longer disruptive. So you change it up and you do something else and you use this style. And then people start saying, oh, that really catches my attention. I'm going to do the same thing with my ads. And it becomes saturated. Everybody's doing the same thing. So disruption has cycles. Like you might see things or discover things that this really works, and it starts working, and then people start to emulate it or imitate it. And what was working 6 months ago is no longer working because everybody is copying it. So it's important. Like look, you'll see there's trends that people do content in a certain way. Then everybody else starts doing it. Then they change it up. So I think it's important that you continually evolve in content and what you're doing. That is, you always ask yourself, is this catching people's attention? Is this really pulling them in? Is this making the connection with your audience?
That's a great tip. And I think that's one of the things that makes social media marketing so frustrating and exhausting for so many people, because they have to keep adapting and changing. It's not like I discovered the one strategy that works once and forever.
Yeah,
it's like
not going to happen.
It stopped working, and now I have to start from square one.
Yeah.
Now, taking those lessons into account, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people make that stop them from reaching more people on social media? So the one thing that you just mentioned is just not standing out, right? But what are other big mistakes?
So this is funny. This is called social media. Social media. The biggest mistake people make is turning it into media and not social media. And like I hear clients or coaching students, they'll say something like this. They'll say, I only get 10 likes on my post. I always respond, how many likes are you giving? How many
Mhm.
posts are you liking? And normally the answer is something like, and so what they're doing is they're posting and they're just expecting everybody to come to them, like their posts, comment and stuff, but they're not reciprocating. They're not doing it. They're not practicing what they want to happen. So I think it's important. I think it's important that you make social media social. You connect with people, you build relationships, you're sending messages, you're responding to comments, you're engaging with content that really resonates and connects with you. It's more than just putting up something and hoping that something happens. There has to be engagement on both parties. I personally, I make a practice of it. Like it's funny. I'll have people message me or I'll comment on their post and they're like, is this really Paul? And I'm like, yeah, it's really me. And I'll get in arguments with people. This is not really Paul. This is a virtual assistant. This is a bot. I have to pull out my phone. I'm like, this is Paul. This is really me. And so I think regardless of what level you're at, how long you've been doing this, how many followers you have, my motto is I treat everybody like they have 10 million followers. I don't care. It's not, your value is not based upon how many followers you have. So engage with people, connect with people, make social media social.
I love that attitude, and it's so important. But I see so many bots and virtual assistants and so much going on there that I do understand why some people think that it's not the real you who's answering them.
Well, full transparency, I have virtual assistants that help me out with engagement and responding to messages, but I don't solely depend on that. I do engage and connect with people, and I've met amazing people just making a post, a comment on their post, then they send me a message and like build relationships, do business and everything like that just by being social on social media.
Absolutely. And I mean, so many people become obsessed with just growing the numbers of followers on various platforms. But how much do those big numbers actually matter? So do they really make a big difference, or are they just vanity metrics? Maybe you can share a client story that illustrates how those numbers translate into actual tangible results for their businesses.
Yeah. So I think that there's probably pros and cons and people that would say, yes, numbers matter and or no, numbers don't matter. I can tell you, I have a client that is you wouldn't know. They're not popular on social media. They're not verified. They don't have millions of followers or anything like that. But their product service does $1 million a week. $1 million a week. So when we started with him, he had 1,000 followers. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't. The power of paid ads and running ads on various platforms kind of makes it a level playing field. Like you don't need 1 million followers if you're running paid ads. Yeah, the value of having a lot of followers is that you're kind of building this community that you can connect with and you can always be engaging with them. You can hear from them. Obviously, you can sell your products and services to them. So it is kind of like you've got this community, this organic audience that you can connect to. But it is dangerous thinking that just because you have 1 million followers that you've got it, because the algorithms change. There used to be a day that if you had 1 million followers, you would post something, you'd get 1 million likes. Literally, like I remember having pages that had 200,000 followers, and when we'd post on it, we would get 200,000 likes, comments, and it was crazy. So now every platform, because they want to do ads and have a clean timeline, they squash your organic reach. So there is a danger in thinking, okay, I got 1 million followers, I've got it made. That's not always the case. So I think there's probably something to be said about the vanity metrics, because whether we like to admit this or not, if you have a product or service and someone looks at your competitor, their social media, and they have 100,000 followers, and they look at yours and you have 500 followers, they in their mind, they're coming to a conclusion simply based upon the follower number. Whether we like to admit it or not, they probably do that. So I think it is important to recognize there is some value in having a certain amount of followers, but if you don't have good content, if you don't have a real connection with the audience, then the amount of followers really doesn't matter.
Yeah, so it's mostly the social proof that you're building up there, right? Yeah. So now that you know why it's important, what's the secret sauce that allows someone to build this huge following on social media? Let's say Instagram, for instance.
Okay.
What should I do?
Okay, so I have a little formula I called CLAP, CLAP, CLAP. First of all, you got to have good content. Regardless of, you just got to have good content that adds value, content that connects with people, content that inspires, motivates, educates, makes them laugh. I always tell people when it comes to your content, you got to think this. When people wake up in the morning, they should be saying, I wonder what Paul posted today. I want to check him out. So it's like that type of content that would really connect with people. So number one, you got to have good content. Then number two, there is this strategy called loops. So you can actually build a network of people that, let's say you want to do a giveaway. You're going to give away some books or some type of prize. Well, you can actually build a loop of people, an audience that they will all promote this giveaway and tell people to share this tag, and you got to follow these people if you want to be entered into the giveaway. I'm sure people have seen those before. A lot of times the big celebrities, they do these. Individuals in the hip hop industry, they're known for doing it a lot, but it's a way that grows your following. With all of these methods, there's pros and cons, because really what you're doing is you're getting an untargeted audience that would follow you based upon, I want to be a part of this giveaway loop. So that's loop, CLA, ads. So you can actually do ads to grow your following. I'll give you an example of an ad that I'm doing for a page that I'm growing. So I have this travel page. It has really cool, amazing travel content and beautiful locations and stuff. Well, I have another page that is just kind of like an entrepreneur page. What I do is I post content on this page over here of beautiful locations and like travel. And then I say, hey, if you're looking for a page that has amazing travel content, you have to go check out this page. And I tag it. And then I run ads. You can do it right on your phone. Just boost it. And then I target people that are interested in travel. So scrolling through is going to see this beautiful travel location. And it's going to say, hey, if you're interested in pages where you can see other travel content, give this page a follow. And they click on it, and then they follow this other page. That's a really great way to get targeted followers from people. It's not the cheapest way, but it's a good way to get good quality targeted followers. So that's A. Then P, partnerships. This is kind of like the old tried and true way of finding pages that are similar to your audience that you want to connect with. Partner with them and say, hey, for $100, will you shout out my content to your audience? And you make that relationship, they shout you out, and then it goes to those followers go to your page. Another cool way to do it is find people on Instagram, similar audience, and partner with them. Go live on Instagram. The cool thing about that is, like, let's say you have 10,000 followers. I have 10,000 followers. We go live. We have a fun time and engage each other. My audience is seeing you. Your audience is seeing me. And there's an overflow. There's an overlap. Your followers start following me. My followers start following you. And it's a great mutual exchange. So that's content, loops, ads, partnerships, clap. And at the end of it, I always require people to that's the only way I can get people to clap. That's the only way I can get people to clap.
Those are great tips. Thank you so much for sharing. And I guess that the same rules pretty much apply to other platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we already talked about this a little bit, but what are your thoughts on organic versus paid traffic? So I guess as someone who has spent over 1.2 billion or something in paid ads, you're an advocate for paid traffic. But how should people think about it? When is the right time to think about using paid traffic, and what kind of offers should they create ads for? So you already mentioned like top of funnel offers to build their lists, or is a good strategy to use ads for paid middle of funnel offers that help them finance those ad campaigns? Or what strategies have you seen that produce the highest ROI?
Yeah, so I think that the answer for that would be based upon where a person can financially find themselves in this. Because if you're doing top of the funnel, it's a slower process, so first of all, I am an advocate of getting all of your followers off of social media. And what I mean by that is, if you've got 1,000 followers on Instagram, you need to get 1,000 emails. You need to get 1,000 phone numbers. You need to get as many possible, because I've heard horror stories of people wake up and their social media has been hacked, or it's been shut down, it's been banned or whatever. So you want to build a list offline that you can send text messages to, you can send emails to, and continually connect with your audience. But if you're looking at a top of the funnel, there is a journey that people have to go into. Let's just say, I'll give you an example. I'm a firm advocate of book funnels. I'm sure we've all seen free plus shipping book funnels, where the ad is, get my book for free, just pay shipping and handling. And on the average, what you see a funnel like that is, it's going to be self consolidating, or it's going to be a loss leader. And what I mean by that is, you're going to break even, you're not going to make any money on it, or you're going to lose a little bit of money on it. So it's kind of challenging to tell people, hey, start running ads where you'll make no money or you'll lose money. That's kind of like no, not interested. But if you can show them, okay, by week, 7 days later, you should be able to profit $5. By 14 days, $30. 30 days, $200. So that's kind of a journey that people have to understand, that there is a process in this, is building relationships. So it's not a direct ROI day one. So that's one method of running ads. Then there is and let me say that, let's say if you're running ads for a book funnel, you might spend $50 or maybe $25 and make $25. So it's a low barrier of entry here. So let's say if you can budget $25 a day, you should be getting one lead a day. So a lot of people can budget that. Let's go into something that is high ticket, where you've got a coaching program course. Well, that's going to be high ticket. Let's say $5,000. Well, at that point, you're going to have to spend a lot more to acquire a conversion. You might have to spend $2,000, but you could potentially make $5,000. So you see how there's a difference. You tell someone, okay, spend $2,000, and like, well, I don't have that, but okay, spend $25 a day. Okay, I can do that. But there might be other individuals, $2,000 a day, I can make $4,000. I think I can do that. Or, I'm just using numbers, hypothetically speaking. We've seen, spend $2,000 and you make $3,000, or you make $2,500. Obviously, the goal in spending ads is spend less than you make.
That would be ideal, right?
That's the goal.
That's the goal. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that great information, because I think that a lot of people might struggle with this these days. They try to get all their leads organically, and as you know, organic reach is down.
It's tough, yeah.
It is really tough. So another strategy that I've heard works really well for many people is using paid ads to send people to a podcast interview like this one, rather than to a webinar or something similar, because it already positions them as the authority and go-to expert in their field. And it's not salesy. It's not like buy this stuff now, right?
Yeah.
It's storytelling and story selling. So what are your thoughts on that? Is that a strategy that you use with your clients too?
Absolutely. So here's the thing is, again, one of the key things when it comes to internet marketing and online is what worked yesterday may not work today. So there used to be a day when it was like direct response. Like you could put your product or your service in front of people. Here it is, a nice ad. And then they would be like, oh yeah, awesome, buy. Now you have to really build a relationship with people. You have to, I always say it's kind of like a dating process. There used to be a time where it's just like, hey, we meet, we get married, and you buy. You know what I mean? But now there's a dating process. There's a building relationship. There's, establishing that know, like, and trust in the relationship before you ask for the sale. So yeah, I think it is when people get to know you, there comes a natural position where they're like, will you sell me something? It's like you don't even have to ask for the sale. It's like you're just being you, and they know who you are, and you're building that relationship where they're just like, hey, give me so yeah, a podcast, or I see online events are very valuable too, where people can really get to connect with you, know your stories and stuff that but yeah, it's definitely evolved from like one ad, see your ad today, buy today. Now people have to get to know you and build relationships with you.
Yeah, I've totally seen that over the last few years as well. So how much of a role does podcasting play in your client's marketing strategy? I'm just curious, because I heard on one of Tim Ferriss's episodes, like on his podcast, I remember that he shared that his podcast or going on different podcasts was the number one way for him to sell his last book or books. So podcasting was the strategy. I know he's a numbers guy, so he does lots of different things, and then he analyzes and sees what works best, right? So he found that podcasting was the number one strategy that helped him get the word out and sell his book. So is that something that you have seen too with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So look at this. I remember when I was grown up as a kid, I wanted to be like on the radio. Yeah. Like I remember there was different radio programs that they would have, call in and make your request, and you would call in and say, I want to listen to such and such song. And sometimes they would record you. When you would call in, they would record you requesting the song, and you'd be listening to the radio, and they're like, hey, we've got Paul Getter here on the phone from Naples, and what's your request? And you'd be sitting there listening to the radio, and you're like, oh, that's me. I'm on the radio. And it was just like you wanted to tell everybody you were on the radio. And, it was like a day that, young kids would aspire to be a DJ on the radio or have a radio show. Now it's the power of the podcast. It's just like this is your own radio program. This is, you're a rock star. You're on a radio. So yeah, I honestly, I think the beauty of podcast versus radio is radio. You listen to it, it's gone, right? So it's like, but with podcasts, it's there, and people might listen to this podcast 4 months down the road, for the first time, like, and it's evergreen. It's always out there. I'm a firm advocate of getting as much content as possible out there, whether it's podcasts, whether it's just, I did a podcast with a young boy in Nigeria that was 11 years old that had a podcast in, I think, his father's garage. It was just him and his buddy and stuff. And it was just like, it's an amazing way to build relationships. It's an amazing way to get your message out there, and people to hear your story and get to know more about you.
Yeah, and I think the other good thing about it is it's kind of like an insurance policy for when things go south on social media. Because I've just talked to a friend today whose Facebook account was shut down from one day to the next. Yeah. So what if you have built your business on that Facebook page, right? It's gone from one day to the next. I mean, you might have this email list, which is a good thing, but if you have your podcast, you also have another platform that you can build relationships on and get your content out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So last but not least, where can our listeners connect with you online? Would you like them to follow you on Instagram, LinkedIn, or go to your website?
So my main platform that I'm on, we've kind of mentioned it, is Instagram. And my Instagram handle is Paul, just Paul, verified account. Give me a follow there. Send me a message. If they say they heard me on this podcast, I'll give them a digital copy of one of my books, and just send me a message. Say, hey, you heard me on this podcast, on Wired for Success podcast, and I'll make sure you get a digital copy of one of my books.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so generous.
You're welcome.
And I'll make sure to include the link to your accounts in the show notes. Again, Paul, thank you so much for being on the show today, and for sharing all those gold nuggets with us. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and I learned a lot today.
Thank you very much. It's been my honor.
Take care and talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Wired for Success podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please take a sec to rate and review my show or share it with a friend. That way you can support the show and help me reach and support other entrepreneurs like yourself as well. If you would like my help to figure out how you can go from overwhelmed and overworked hustler to empowered and confident leader, check out my website at www.wiredforsuccess.solutions and book a free 20-minute strategy session with me. Can't wait to help you get wired for success. Until next time, take care. Bye.